Hey everyone, it looks really beautiful here with the sun going down against the trees, that nice sun angle, nice snowy landscape. In the next day or so, this is all gonna melt. It's gonna be around 50 degrees. Then temperatures are gonna crash and we're not gonna get out of the teens for the foreseeable future with negative temperatures at night. So check this out. I'm gonna be putting this in front of my trail cameras today. I've never bought this before. Typically, over the winter time, I'll buy a couple bags of corn and sprinkle them on all the trails. Sometimes I'll leave a big pile in front of a camera. Sometimes I'll walk with the bag, leave a really long trail of it, basically everywhere so animals follow it back to the cameras. Bought this, it was only a couple dollars more than the normal corn I get. We're gonna see what this attracts. I had really good luck with this camera here if you saw my time lapse of it. Because this thing didn't get anything like extraordinary on the camera, I just time lapsed it all. It recorded about 5 hours worth of footage while I was on my western trip. I was only gone for 6 weeks, but I left the camera out here nearly 3 months, September, October, November, and we saw all kinds of cool stuff. Deer, first time I've ever seen them here. We got a bobcat multiple times. We had a bear in the beginning of the video. That bear was before winter hit. I do not put food out anymore because of the known bears. We don't want to attract the bears. Now that it's winter time, the bears are in hibernation, and they probably won't be out for many more months unless we get a freak stretch of days where it's really warm for a long time. Then they'll start coming out of hibernation for a little while. Typically, when temperatures are below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the bears start going into hibernation. On this camera, you could see the temperature one time dipped down to 28 where we saw the bear. So you could tell he was getting ready and looking for food. So I got this camera right here. It's going to make I think it's going to make a 20-second clip anytime something goes in front of it with a delay of 30 seconds. Usually I don't have the delays set that much. I usually have them almost instantly, but I put it to 30 seconds because let's say a crow comes here. A crow will sit there for an hour eating, and it's just going to snap 100 videos of one animal. I'd rather have a whole variety of different things. That's why I'm trying 30 seconds, or I might even move it even more. So we're going to go ahead and pour this out. I'm curious to know what this even looks like. So you got the string right here. See, the string just pulls out. Really satisfying to do that. Pull it on out. Then you can open it up. Alright, it basically looks like rabbit food. What's it smell like? It doesn't really smell like rabbit food. It kind of smells like dry, like yogurt covered raisins or yogurt covered something. Kind of weird. That smell, that'll be sure to attract something. And I think it'll probably all be eaten by the deer and the turkeys fairly quickly. It's going to rain in 2 days, which I think would destroy this. Corn lasts a long time, even being wet. In fact, when it starts to soak up water, it actually attracts more stuff because it gets a nice potent smell moving around. Takes a while for corn to rot, but this looks like it might fall apart fairly fast. Alright, I'm going to start pouring it, and I will see you guys on the trail camera. Thanks for watching. Alright everyone, I'm going to narrate this a little bit as we go through some of the trail camera footage. Right now I am going around and making a big pile right here in front of the camera, and now I'm going to make a trail of it, still leaving it pretty heavy on the bridge, but then I'm going to walk down all the trails and leave a really thin trail to try to attract stuff over to the camera. That's what I'm doing right now. I just walked down that trail probably a good few hundred feet, and now I'm going to go off this camera a few hundred more feet, and now you're going to see me walking on that trail with a different trail camera. This camera actually does record sound. The other model doesn't. Yeah, you can hear me shaking it as I go by the camera. This one does have sound, and it actually is going to catch some pretty good stuff because of the sound. So here we are back at the first camera, the first night. You see that is a flying squirrel sitting on top of that sign. We have a lot of flying squirrels, and they're pretty friendly. They don't have much fear when I go out there at night. I can see dozens of them leaping around from tree to tree. You can see there's another squirrel, or that same squirrel now, on the bridge, just went underneath it. Here we are on that second camera getting into a really big storm that happened the night of the 22nd and 23rd in December. Look at that, a big tree just fell down. You can even hear the big delayed boom on the camera. Didn't get the tree on camera, but it activated soon enough to get the loud noise. And here we are, a couple days later, 3 days later it says. Here's a deer checking it out. That date below is correct. Deer's just sniffing around, checking out the evidence, because it can definitely smell that food I just put down, and it definitely wants some of it. But it's going to have to go underneath that tree if it wants it. Not that bad. There wasn't much debris down on this trail. It could have easily leaped over that. Here we are back to the other camera. And the date is correct on that too. Now this is a red squirrel that you see leaping along the ground, not a flying squirrel. These red ones are pretty destructive, and they actually scare away the gray ones that I wish we had instead of them. The gray ones are also easier to tame down. Here we are with some crows. The crows have interest in it. Based on the animals that I've seen in these videos eating this, they're definitely eating it, but they're not like super interested. If it were to just be ordinary corn, they'd be way more excited with that. Yeah, you see, those crows are not very actively eating it. There's like one pecking at it. And this was me on the other trail doing my first evaluation of what I'm going to have to do with the chainsaw. Back to camera number 1, it just got hit by a tree, and that's why it is off to the side. You can even see a few broken branches. You can see the water flowing really heavy underneath that bridge. You can even see some trees now that have fallen over, stuck up in the trees. And over time, the tree that fell on this, I think, is slowly putting more and more pressure on it, or the tree is slowly bending as it sits there, because every single shot, the camera is further up in the air. Can't even see the sign anymore. This trail camera probably saw some action of trees falling down, because it was aimed at this bridge where I always put food for animals. This is called protein pellets. Animals do not like that. Just sat here for days until it rained. This, you can tell, absolutely flooded. Look at the debris evidence. So much water was going through here. Water table's still really high when it's trickling like this. The forest is an absolute mess. Look at all these trees overhead. Alright, I just wanted to go back and slow this down for you. Take a look at that. The holes made by the squirrels in the product. And check it out. We actually got a deer on this camera too. And it was the same night, the 26th, that the other camera saw the deer. But it's not the same deer. This one's got antlers. Unless the deer just broke them off in the woods. This is the time of year they're supposed to be losing them pretty soon. But I doubt it. I think it's two separate deer hanging out in the yard. This one looks like it's going to get a drink of water, and it's coming up onto the bridge. Definitely sniffing out that product. Being very cautious there. Slowly approaching it. Thinking this food can't be free. Giving it a good sniff. It looks like it's about to take some nibbles out of it. It spotted the camera. He spotted the camera. Looks like he's going to take some nibbles. Yep, definitely trying it there. And here comes the flying squirrel friend back. Right on the same bridge. They're not afraid of each other. They know they're not a threat. Yep. There he is. The big deer's just eating it. But considering how much was left over afterwards, I don't think they like it as much as corn, and I'm going to keep using corn because it doesn't get destroyed in the rain like this. But this is a product, it would probably do very well if you were actually using an automatic feeder. That way it would stay dry, except for the little bit it may throw out into the rain. But it seems like even with those holes that the squirrel made to eat it after it got wet and then it froze, something is still eating it, even though it got wet. But I think I'm going to stay with the corn. Too bad this tree fell down and made the camera all crooked. That's what you're seeing all overexposed on the bottom of the screen. That's a tree branch right in the way of the infrared camera. Oh, the deer heard something. What's over there? Sometimes in these woods it's kind of scary. In the middle of the night you can hear a giant pack of coyotes howling. And anytime they get close I just start yelling and they run in the other direction. They don't want anything to do with me. Deer's going right back to eating. Deer is still eating, but it looks like the camera might be slipping a little more. Like I mentioned, it's slowly falling back, and it looks like the increased overexposure is now making the deer almost invisible except for its glowing eye. And in the next shot, you're going to see me on the other camera starting to clean up some of the debris with the chainsaw. Over the next few years, I'm going to keep working on it. Eventually, I'll get the forest floor cleaned up to prevent any kind of forest fire. And here I am on the other trail. I probably only got about 10% of all the trees that fell down that day cleaned up so far, but at least it's free firewood. And in the next shot, you're going to see me coming back and just kicking all the stuff off the bridge because the animals don't really want it. It's just a mushy mess now. Very mushy. Pushing it right off the side. And I'm even going to have to remove that little guardrail to push it off easier so it's not getting stuck against it. And this is me bringing back a big bundle of sticks to my fire I'm having out there in the woods. Just making sure to clean up the forest floor a bit. Because right now there's so much debris in certain areas, even seedlings aren't going to be able to grow back for many years. And it's just a big increased fire hazard. And here's some older footage that I threw in just to show you some of the other animals that sometimes come by. This group of turkeys is always in the yard. Right now you see them digging around trying to get the little bits of corn that were on the platform. Sometimes they come through in groups I've seen as big as 14. In this shot you can only see 4 of them at the moment. Still trying to pick out all the corn that fell down inside of all the cracks. And often we will get a raccoon in the area too. Here he is, getting some corn that's left over on the bridge. Now that date, I believe, is incorrect on these shots. Definitely not right. No, actually, yeah, it is right. It is right. They're just not in order, the clips. And here's another deer, daytime shot. A little bit of an older clip, so I wasn't using the protein pellets. This is actual corn, which they seem to like a lot better. They'll dig through the grass, dig through the leaves, anything to get every last piece of it. They really enjoy this. Now the next shot you're going to see when I first put down the corn. That's a lot of corn. And you see a raccoon came by to get it. Sometimes you see a raccoon in the daytime. It's not too common. A lot of times they go out in the daytime when they have babies and they go out to look for food. Yep. Raccoons loving that food. Now this is a bunny rabbit about to jump up. Now I have seen bears at the same spot. And I have also seen a bobcat. Couldn't find it at the moment, those clips. But it is in the unedited version of this. This raccoon I thought was pretty cool, climbing up the tree during the snowstorm. And I'm going to end the video here with some time-lapse of me doing a controlled burn. I didn't even realize that it was setting the camera off every couple seconds throughout the day, but here's just a few clips leading into the night because I thought it looked pretty cool. Hope today's video was interesting, everyone. Thanks for watching and have a great day.